Okay, if you turn to page 17, we are going to go over how to solve radical equations. Now, a radical equation is any equation that has a variable underneath the radical sign. And the way we are going to solve these is first you isolate the radical on one side of the equation, and then you square both sides to eliminate the radical. So, for example, here, if I have the square root of x plus 4, I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. I end up with the square root of x equals 3. Now I'm going to square this side and I'm going to square this side. And the square and the square root cancel out and I get x equals 9. Now I have to then plug it back in, the square root of 9 plus 4. Does that equal 7? I have to check it. And the square root of 9 is 3. 3 plus 4 does equal 7, so that works. Now, it's always important with radical equations to check your answer, because sometimes you get what are called extraneous solutions that even though you did nothing wrong, it won't work. So you always have to check your solution. So now for this next one, the square root of x plus 3 equals, I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides, equals 4. Now I'm going to square both sides, and this becomes x plus 3 equals 16. Subtract 3, x equals 13. I'm going to plug it back in. 13 plus 3 is 16. Square root of 16 is 4. 4 plus 5 is 9. So that works. Okay, so the steps to solving a radical equation are isolate the radical, square both sides, simplify and solve, and then check all solutions. Some will be extraneous. Okay, so I want everybody to try 1, 2, and 3 and see what you get. So stop the video, do these, start the video to see if you're right. So for number 1, I subtract 3 from both sides. I get the square root of m equals 10. Square both sides. M equals 100. Check it back in. Is 3 plus the square root of 113? Yes, it is. It works. Okay, so now here I'm going to add 5 to both sides. So 4m minus 1 equals 5. Now I'm going to square both sides, and I get 4m minus 1 equals 25. I'm going to add 1 to both sides. So plus 1, and I get 4m equals 26. Divide by 4, divide by 4. M equals 6.5. And if I plug that back in, 6.5 times 4, 4 times 5 is 20, carry the 2. I get 26. 26 minus 1 is 25. 25 minus square root of 25 is 5. 5 minus 5 is 0. So that one works too. Okay. And then for the last one, we add 3 to both sides. The square root of 6m minus 3 equals 3. Square both sides. Square both sides. 6m minus 3 equals 9. 6m equals 12. M equals 2. Plug it in. 12 minus 3 is 9. Square root of 9 is 3. 3 minus 3 is 0. And they all work. Okay, so now let's turn the page. Oh, go back. I'm sorry. We're going to look at the bottom of the page. And it says, sometimes squaring each side of an equation will give a result that does not work. So checking all solutions is a must. So here, this says, what is the solution to the square root of x equals negative 4? So if I square both sides, I get x equals 16. But is 16 a possible solution? And the answer is no, because the square root of 16 is a positive 4, and it's not going to be a negative 4. So this is no solution. And I didn't do anything wrong. It doesn't work. And sometimes that happens. So now turn the page and let's try this one. So here, I'm going to square this and square this. And be very careful because I'm going to do this wrong because many of you will do it wrong. See if you guess what I do wrong. X squared minus 25. That is wrong because x minus 5 times x minus 5 is x squared minus 5x minus 5x plus 25. So it is x squared minus 10x plus 25. Okay, be careful of that. A very common mistake is to just square the first, square the second, but you all know that is not true. So x squared minus 10x plus 25. And now I have to get all my x's on the same side. So I'm going to say 0 equals x squared minus 13x plus 30 equals 0. And I'm going to factor that, and I'm going to get x minus 10 and x minus 3. So I'm going to get two answers, 3 and 10. But now I have to check my answers to see if they both work. So now when I plug them in, first let's check the 10. First, let's check the 10. I have the square root of 3 times 10 minus 5 equals 10 minus 5. Well, 30 minus 5 is 25. The square root of 25 is 5. 10 minus 5 is 5. So 5 equals 5 is good. So we know 10 works. Now let's try the 3. So the square root of 3 times 3 minus 5, does that equal 3 minus 5? Well, this is 9 minus 5 is 4. The square root of 4 is 2. But this is negative 2. Does 2 equal negative 2? No, it does not, which means 3 is an extraneous solution. So make sure you check your answers because sometimes solutions don't work and it's not because you made a mistake. Okay, so now here, I want everyone to try number 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you can check your answers on the answer key.